Maybe there was no eyewitness. Maybe there was an eyewitness. Brother.
You've been up all night, haven't you?
Yeah. And I gotta be in court in about an hour, and my closing statement, Lucy, is right there in that trash can.
Yeah, I see that. You know what? It'll be okay. You will come up with the right words to say.
Well, I wasn't even supposed to be in this mess. You know, I only agreed to handle the case temporary. I mean, she was supposed to get a replacement.
I know that. Julie knows she lucked out. She really did luck out.
And so I'm working hard, doing my job to try and prove that there's a reasonable doubt that she didn't commit the crime.
Right, which is not the same as proving she's innocent like she claims to be.
I know you think that she's innocent, but I'm telling you right now, I still have a lot of doubt.
Okay, that's fine. That's all right. I think what you're really saying here is you're just afraid that maybe you're going to set a murderer free.
Or send an innocent girl to jail, you know? I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe she is not guilty, and I'm not working hard enough to get her off because I don't believe it, you know? Or either way, maybe I am doing the wrong thing, and the bottom line is, hell, we're never gonna know.
Shouldn't Scott be here by now?
Julie, you did your part. You got up there and you told the truth.
Now all we need is for Scott to drive that home to the jury. It's one thing to get up there and lead me through my testimony. But to ask a jury to set me free, I really wonder if he can pull this off. I don't think Scott does anything halfway. So, what's your guess? The jury goes out today. How long do you think it'll take them before they find her guilty?
Well, that's far from a sure thing since Scott put her on the stand yesterday and made her look so damn good.
What are you gonna do if they find Julie innocent?
I felt I had an obligation to stand up for the victims in this case. I've done that.
And you have also done everything you could to make sure Julie got the help that she needed.
Well, I won't give up on that goal.
Scott and Lucy are reasonable... Excuse me. Scott is a reasonable person. Why can't he see what a danger Julie is?
I don't know. But then again, maybe it's not too late to try and persuade him.
Well, honey, we just wanted to be here to show you our support for you.
Want to watch my brilliant son in action.
Oh, listen to the king of closing statements.
Hey, you know, today, maybe he's going to learn something from you.
I doubt it.
Oh, come on. You know, Julie's defense really took a nosedive after Cooper's whole testimony, and now one day you turned it around. Closing arguments are going to be a piece of pie, a slice of cake, you know.
You have such faith in me, Lucy.
Always, because you help the people you promised to help. I'm a shining example of that.
Well, now, you see, when he promised Julie, that was a life and death matter.
And an obligation to balance justice with any sort of lingering doubts that you may have, Scott.
Well, yes, she claims that she's innocent. I'm still a little sketchy about that. You know, I have been right from the get-go here.
All right, I am not denying Julie did some terrible things.
What are you talking about? She tried to entomb you like King Tut, for crying out loud.
But I do not think she would have just left Eve and I to die.
Well, do you think she's incapable of killing someone?
Yeah, you know, Gail, I really am beginning to believe that.
Well, if Scott does as good a job as I think he will, I hope you're right. I'll, get some seats.
I'll go with you.
I need some advice.
You mean how to convince the jury that Julie is innocent when you can't convince yourself?
What are you, Kreskin?
No, just a dad. And your answer is this. Just argue the facts.
Yeah, the prosecution is very weak in that department.
Yeah, that's why they've been dealing in nothing but rumors and speculation. You just cut right through that smoke screen, and then the jury will be able to use their own common sense. And guilty or innocent, Julie's fate will be in their hands, not yours.
Yeah.
Come on.
How are you doing?
A million butterflies. You?
I'm ready.
All rise. This trial court of the state of New York is now in session. The Honorable Anita Martin presiding.
Please be seated. Ms. Jensen. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I thank you for your patience. You've had to endure a long and misleading tale of woe about Julie Devlin Ramsey being a victim here. Personally, I think it's an insult to your intelligence. The only victim here is John Kanellos. He was murdered. Julie Devlin Ramsey murdered him in cold blood. If Julie Devlin Ramsey isn't the victim here, then who is she? A dedicated physician who cares about the sanctity of life? Or a robot with no will of her own, brainwashed by Greg Cooper to carry out his plans of revenge? Well, even the defense will tell you that the answer is that she's both. Good doctor by day, slave to a psychopath at night. A psychopath who is locked away in prison, unable to threaten anyone, yet he snaps his fingers and Julie changes like Jekyll and Hyde and her dark side murders John Kanellos. A plausible scenario. One that the defendant even conceded was accurate in a signed confession. Then the story changes. Now the defense is claiming that Julie had a working conscience left, that it made her draw a line, and that even if Greg Cooper had given her an order, she wouldn't have murdered anyone. An implausible scenario. One a clever shrink, Rachel Locke, helped Julie concoct. Magically, she remembers, I didn't kill John Kanellos. Greg Cooper only made me think that I did. Is it possible that Dr. Locke uncovered some totally bogus memories like she did in another patient that she rehabilitated? Well, that patient was acquitted. Then she went home and murdered her own father. Well, at least Julie's new memories can explain the inexplicable. What was she doing at the scene of the murder? Well, evil Greg Cooper called her that night, gave her an order to stand next to the body, waiting to be arrested. Now, does that sound even remotely believable? Apparently not to Julie's husband, Chris Ramsey, or to her therapist, because they tried to bribe Greg Cooper into confessing that he was the murderer. Why? Because Julie Devlin Ramsey had run out of options. Somebody else had to take the blame for the crime that she committed, a crime that she fully confessed to doing. That she brutally murdered John Kanellos, impaling him on a sword, standing next to his body, watching his lifeblood drain away. Julie was her own eyewitness to this murder. And you know what? I believe her. That being the case, I am confident that you will find Julie Devlin Ramsey guilty of murder in the first degree.
The prosecutor was certainly good. Do you think you can do better?
Mr. Baldwin?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are innocent, all of us, until proven guilty, not suspected of being guilty. That's not good enough. We need facts. We need proof here. And that's the problem here. Prosecution hasn't come close to proving beyond reasonable doubt that Julie Devlin Ramsey is guilty of killing anyone. Prosecution over here is playing on your emotions, because that's all she's got. Believe me, that's all she's got. She's got no proof that Julie is guilty. Well, nothing but a confession from a woman whose mind was being manipulated by a madman. You got to see Greg Cooper in action. You saw how he manipulated Julie's husband, Dr. Ramsey, and her psychiatrist. He said he'd get up on the stand, he'd say one thing, he gets up here and he says something completely different. That's how he manipulated Julie. Imagine what it's like to be held hostage, to be tortured, to be starved, to be threatened to have your face carved up to satisfy some sick fantasy of his. It's lucky that Julie survived it all. And a miracle that she's been able to recover her sanity. She's more than sane, and she's filled with remorse about having her spirit broken. None of us want to see the guilty go unpunished. By the same token, we don't want to see innocent people suffer. That's why I want to remind you, there are no facts to convict Julie. And there is plenty of room here for reasonable doubt. You know, I didn't want to take this case because I thought that she was guilty. Then something happened, and it changed my mind.
Objection. Counsel is testifying to his own experience.
You want to risk it, Mr. Baldwin?
Hear me out, Your Honor. If I'm off base, you can just strike it.
Proceed.
On New Year's Eve, my girlfriend and I were going to get married, but our daughter disappeared. She was found and returned to us by Julie. Now, Julie could have taken off and left Christina to freeze in the cold. Instead, she brought our baby back to us, knowing that she would be locked up again. I had to ask myself what sort of a woman would rescue a child that wasn't hers and help people like me who have shown no sympathy at all towards her when she had a chance to run. The best answer I could come up with, she's an innocent woman.
Now that I have given you your instructions, you may retire and begin your deliberations. Court will be in recess.
All rise.
I can't believe how convincing you were, Scott. There's no way they can ignore what you said.
Juries are funny.
Like lawyers? I mean, you're still not sure yourself that I'm innocent.
I'm a defense attorney. I did my best to defend you, okay? And let's just leave it at that.
Scott, you were amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Well, now we wait for the verdict. That's the toughest part.
You took a big risk there using your personal experience, you know, there, counselor.
Yeah, well, maybe I did. Maybe I did. Do you think they bought it?
I don't know, but what I do know is you didn't try and gloss anything over. You just were simple and you told the truth, and I just hope they believe you. I think they did.
Hell, I almost believed you.
Yep, me too. I started to wonder if you were talking about the same Julie Devlin that I know.
My job here today was to prove reasonable doubt, and that's what I tried to do.
And if Julie is released and she cracks up again and Cooper uses her again?
I'll have nothing to regret. I did what any good lawyer was supposed to do. What's any good psychiatrist supposed to do in the same situation?
Pray that she gets the help that she needs. She's not fully recovered, Scott, no matter what you spout off to a jury.
Where did it come from? The strength Scott found to believe in me?
Maybe he finally realized he was defending an innocent woman.
Oh, it was your testimony, after all, that turned this trial around.
And where did you find your strength?
Christina, in the dream I have of being with her. And you will be, Julie, very soon. Very soon.